Hold on, I got to set my DVR at home. It works just like my DVR at home. It's not recording! You know, we just moved to a new place. We don't have our DVR hooked up yet. And not being able to pause when you have to go to the bathroom. You know, the kids today are not going to know how hard we had it. But, you know, as an entrepreneur and a creative director, I love the smell of possibility in the morning. Every day is a blank canvas. You know, you got your coffee, your bacon, things are starting out great. But how many of you do your best thinking in the shower every morning? Now, here's something I want you to do. I think the reason we think so good in the shower is because it's the one time during the day that we're not multitasking. We don't have a screen in front of us. You know, even when we decide, oh, we need to get away from our desk, and we'll go for a walk and kind of straighten things out and trip over the carpet, we still have our iPad with it. We have either our emails or our music or our podcasts. We're always getting input. So if you ever get stuck, unplug, get outside, go to your farm market, interact with real people. But you know, if our job is to create, we need to set ourselves up. Now, one thing I've learned, we all are screaming. Oh, that's what that was. It's all making sense. I was clicking the hell out of that thing. I'm on slide 50 already. I'm like, how come just not following along with this? Hey, look at that, it works. You will never find. Okay, so my mind works kind of like a tornado where you have all these ideas swimming around and there's a big Mickey Mouse hand behind my nose that reaches in, pulls out something, throws out my mouth, and while I'm talking about it, reaches back in and grabs something completely different. So we might jump around a little bit. But our problem as idea creators, we get all these different, like, oh, wait a minute, we can do this. And every morning we're thinking, I can do this. And Dave's thinking, oh, I'm going to take pictures of this, I'm going to do a podcast on this, and we're going to create all these new businesses, and there's all these opportunities all around us. If you're an optimist and an entrepreneur, I mean, you have squirrel's disease. Anybody see Up, you know? Squirrel! Look at your idea, I'm going to chase it. But the problem is, our ideas are perishable. You know, when the muse visits you, not this muse, something more classic. No, it's too old. How about something a little more modern? Yeah, too literal. All right, so when the muse visits you, you've got to do something with that. You've got this gift, this idea. And the muse is saying, hey, go create this. How many of you have worn your robe backwards? How many of you created the Snuggie? We all could be listed on that patent, those bastards. But the problem is we don't get rewarded for what we start. We don't get rewarded for what we think or what we say. We only get credit for what we finish. And as shiny object syndrome sets in on all of us, that's something we have to remind ourselves. Oh gosh, that new idea is sexy. Starting a new idea is like a drug. It's like the first date that went really good. And like, I can't wait. And then something else shows up. And we're distracted onto something else. So I want you to consider this talk your Miranda warning. Here's what it comes down to. If you don't bring that big idea to life, that idea is going to go inspire someone else. Ideas don't like waiting. We like waiting. We like waiting for everything to be perfect. All the ducks to be in a row. Ducks don't line up. Quit waiting for them. You need to get on. But I want to go back. I want to get in a time machine, and let's go back 30 years to when Magic Johnson was still a college basketball player. Terry Bradshaw had hair, for the most part. And Tracy Austin won the Open. But Sports Illustrated, if you wanted to know about sports, Sports Illustrated, that's a brand. That brand was built on sports. They were the sports leader. You want to know about sports? Bam, Sports Illustrated. But new technology comes in line. Cable television. Now, television in the journalistic world is kind of like the marketer of business, you know. I'm going to break something here. Sports Illustrated looked at cable TV and said, no, you know what? Real journalism involves the printing press. We're going to continue to print magazines. But if they didn't have that love of the smell of ink and the love of the printing press and this elitism, if they would have embraced new technology and gone with like Sports Illustrated TV or maybe called it like SIPN, you know, and then every night they could have gone on cable and talked about the big story of the day because they were already out gathering it. They already had their finger on the pulse of what was happening in sports. But they didn't, because it didn't line up with their philosophy and their biases. So they missed out on a huge opportunity. ESPN came in, and now when we want to know something, maybe we read Sports Illustrated at the dentist's office, but every day we tune into ESPN to know what's going on. And ESPN is the world leader in sports. And the insult to injury here, at the International Magazine Competition, you know who's rewarded for outstanding sports journalism? ESPN the magazine. Oh! And they haven't stopped there. You have an app, you have a website. ESPN is taking their journalism to the people. Don't fall in love with your printing press, your factory, your patent. Put yourself out of business before someone else does. Innovation is really nothing more than combining the normal things out there in new and exciting ways. It's about being a chef, about searching for cross-pollinating ideas and then bringing them to life. Let's go back 100 years for our next example. We all remember this story. It doesn't end well. There's an icy relationship, and then this selfish woman takes a very expensive piece of jewelry that could pay for her granddaughter's college education and throws it into the ocean. The most selfish woman in film history. It still angers me to this day. But the biggest lifeboat on the Titanic wasn't used because the innovators weren't at the wheel. Imagine this. We're hit, we're going down. How long did it take to sink? A couple hours? The Carpathia is 4 hours away. They get as many people in the lifeboats. They pull up alongside the other lifeboat and offload the passengers onto the iceberg. Might have some cold toes, might lose a couple people to hypothermia. But instead of running away from what just ripped open our ship, it could have saved everyone there. By loving the iceberg, by loving what brought us down, we could have saved Leo. When we are brought up in an industry, we are taught the rules. And so often we view the rules as gospel, and they are not. They are the status quo that's been enacted up until now, up until you and your idea. Another blockbuster that sank. Too soon? Now, a lot of people say, well, Blockbuster, Netflix killed them. I don't think so. I think where Blockbuster went wrong is they were fighting these guys. It's very expensive to buy that corner lot in every strip mall. And the pharmaceutical companies have a lot of money, as we just heard. While their chief competitor, in my view, was competing against this. Redbox went into space that was used by the Kiwanis Club to sell chiclets and put in a Blockbuster there. That completely changes the economics of what you need for a store. Because yes, early adopters were going to Netflix, but my mom doesn't trust the computer or the mail. How can we look at how your product or service is delivered in your industry from the time it began and turn it on its heels? That's where innovation lies. A lot of suckers in the room, people who like suckers, I mean. Dum-dums, all right? Now, I think one of the coolest things about dum-dums is they found a way to increase the number of suckers they could produce without cleaning the equipment. In the old days, when you were making a blueberry sucker, you'd run a couple thousand of them, shut the line down, clean the machine, and then run cream soda or some other. Why cream soda? No, does anyone like a cream soda sucker? No, that was like the bad one. I know, it's like, oh, God. You didn't, if you open them in the dark when you're trick-or-treating, like, oh. I think that's where J.K. Rowling came up with the Bertie Bott's other flavor beans. Like, the booger was a cream soda. Sorry, well, where were we again? Okay, so suckers. So they used to clean out the machine. Am I out of time now? Yeah, getting the hook already. They used to clean out the machine and then they'd start it back up. Well, it takes a long time to shut down the machine and clean it out. That's wasted revenue. You need that machine producing. So the biggest innovation Dum Dums ever had, the mystery pop. They no longer shut the machine down. This one's going to be blueberry-ish, pineapple-ish. It's a mystery. That's innovation. We used to sweep the floors at the Oreo factory and throw out those crumbs. Now they sell them to us in blizzards. What is your industry throwing away as scrap? That could be a next innovation for you. That's where innovation lives. Innovation is finding that inspiration around you, putting all those ingredients together into a delicious, squirrely stew until it's murk, murk, murk. The other thing that we really do wrong as innovators is we want to be liked. Steve Jobs is a great example. He did not want to be liked. He did it right. He wasn't afraid to piss people off. Now, not pissing people off is ingrained in how we do it. I'm from Detroit, so here's your obligatory automotive example. You go to the auto shows, you see these futuristic concept cars with all the really dramatic lines on them, and at the same display, you'll hear half the people going, wow, I love it, look at the lines in there, so sexy. And the other half of the booth is going, what were they thinking? Are they smoking something when they made this? And so the designers are there, they're taking all the notes, and they write down everything people liked and everything they don't like. And they go down in the studio with the sandpaper, and they round off all the corners that offended someone. But in doing so, they round off all the corners that excited someone. So then the production model comes out, and the people who loved it are like, eh. The people who hated it are like, eh. The sales are like, eh. But from the time we were born, we were taught not to piss people off. We had 3 brands of soap, 3 brands of toilet paper, 3 peanut butter. Don't wipe your butt with peanut butter, bad idea. 3 brands of peanut butter, 3 brands of cars, because we had 3 networks. So we had to create very generic products. We only had 3 channels to sell them in. We don't use those anymore. Now we've got billions of channels. All right? How many of you are trying to get 1 million customers tomorrow? If 1 million people called my office, I'd be hiding under the desk. Boom, get over here. Lock the door. Get over in your own. So why are we still creating these mass market pitches where we're not pissing you off? We want to be liked. You know what liked gets you in today's economy? Ignored. We need to build products with remarkable built right in, where people see and say, that is awesome, or that is stupid. Because hate is not the opposite of love. And in this mass market, we can't afford to inspire apathy. There are so many products out there, and so many channels out there. The hottest meme on the internet right now? No matter how cool something you do is, someone is unimpressed, and we forget about it. If you're trying to get funding or get your idea off the ground or get a customer, you can't afford to be meh. You want to create things that turn your customers into that big red picture that comes bursting along and go, oh yeah, I love this product, this is great, I want more of this! Which creates a lot of jobs for builders to come repair all those walls. So we have to get that idea to spread. And this is something I think we're all doing really poorly, is we're not talking in sound bites. Before an idea can flourish, it needs a sound bite to take root. Scientists say that every second of every day we have 6 billion inputs into our brain. The hum of the fan, the smell of the cheesy cologne 3 rows up from you, the scuffle of my feet every time I trip over this cord. But our mind blocks it out so we can focus on what's important to us. Now you know this if you've ever found the car that you want to buy, and on the way home you see that car everywhere. There it is, there it is, there it is. You were always seeing it everywhere. Your mind just didn't know it was important, so you were blocking it out. You were focusing on what was important to you. So we have this kind of shiny object syndrome attacking us. We all have, instant gratification. We want fast cars and fast food and fast women, some of us. But then when we're talking, it's completely the opposite. Now we want to be heard. Hold on, I need to tell you all about this story. My wife needs my full attention. I'm not allowed to multitask when my wife is talking. But yet, when we're listening, we're like, give me the gist. What's the Cliff Notes? It takes 12 seconds to teach the idea of patriotism to a child. If you can't get your idea out in 12 seconds, it's time to get our red pen or a machete and cut it up into something that people can understand. Now, we can blame the USA Today for saying, people don't read anymore, they skim. But guess what? People skim. We read headlines, drop quotes, pre-pictures, captions, charts, bullet points. More people will read the PS of your letter than they will read the body of your letter. So you have to learn to talk in these little nuggets. Now, in politics, sex, and religion, we use sound bites all the time. A good pickup line, a good slogan, a good verse. That can do the work for us. A movie can market itself based on a good soundbite. Anyone know what movie the first line's from? Second one? Third one? Best movie of all time. 20 years? 25 years? Something a little old is what Next one? Next one? Now what's amazing about this one is you can't read that without hearing him in your head. That's the power of a soundbite, though. A soundbite is like Johnny Appleseed. If you can get the nugget for what your company or your product or your value proposition or your brand into someone's head, when that opportunity arises, that seed bursts to life. Because SEO, search engine optimization, as marketers, we're all worried about how we show up in Google. I would much rather be position one in someone's brain, then they don't need to go to Google. The ad rates are much cheaper. What's the last one? Anyone? It's not a tumor. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Now, entrepreneurs, first thing we learn is, what's your elevator pitch? You better have a good elevator pitch. Give me a good 60-second. Where the hell do you people work? The idea of an elevator pitch is to get on an elevator with venture capitalists and tell them about your idea. Tell them to get the top. What's our tallest building in Kalamazoo? What do we got? 7 stories? So that idea may work in Dubai, but one thing that happens when we're selling our idea is we turn into Ron Popeil. But wait, there's more. It also does this, and it also does this, and it also does this. And we want to talk about all the things that we can do with our idea. Cut it off at that. When a woman gets engaged, she has this little jiggle with her hand. She's not showing you every facet of the diamond. She's trying to catch your eye in the light. Find out the sparkle. Get them their attention. We need to stop trying to educate people so much and start trying to titillate. And then when we can get them to stop what they're doing, hold the door open button and lean in and say the 3 words that every entrepreneur wants to hear. Tell me more. And as I go around to these conferences and talking to entrepreneurs, Henry Ford worked his whole life to make $1 billion. Then YouTube did it in 22 months. That was a great example until Instagram show-offs did it in 18 months. And so you could do it in 18 months. It could take you your whole life. But you can do something great. This punk, in 1992, couldn't sell a record to save his butt. Now he's the biggest rock star in the world. It's passion and perseverance and creativity, because an idea in motion stays in motion. And that's why I like these TEDx conferences so much, because when you go around and you're meeting these thinkers and doers, and the people, entrepreneurs and scientists and artists and designers and poets, these are people that are optimistic about the future because they're creating it. And when we look at the next generation of business icons, they're not going to be bronze statues. They're going to be flesh and blood, living, breathing new life into our communities, building new companies and reshaping industries and rewriting the rules and pissing off the status quo. And it's the X's, it's the people in this room that are going to do it. So get out there and make it happen.